So we got to talk about this CNN interview with Van Jones and three black Trump supporters, right? And this is a good thing, right? Because we need to see more black people moving away from the Democratic Party and more to the Republican Party. And Trump has done a good job of that, right? He's been able to get more black people over to his side, and particularly like black men, right? Obviously the women, they're still voting, Democrat like 90 plus, 92%. And let's be honest, the reason probably they do it because they actually get things from the Democratic Party in terms of like political power, welfare. But I think as more men tend to move away from the Democratic Party, I think eventually like the black women will follow. Right, or hopefully that's the case, right? Because Trump has done a good job, and hopefully when he's gone, the Republican Party, whoever the next candidate does a better job, a good job of continuing that trend. Because I think as more black men lean more conservative, I think that's a good thing overall for the black community. Hope, and that's the hope. But I think seeing this more is a good thing, and seeing more black people and hearing more black voices speak out why they're voting, why they're moving more to Republican, voting for Trump, I think is a good thing. So let's hear what they have to say, and then I'll share my thoughts.
You weren't always a Republican.
No, actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone, her name is Candace Owens, and I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
And I think that's a sentiment for a lot of people that used to be Democrat and now move over to the Republican side and vote for Trump. And this is me personally, right? 2000, I voted for Obama twice, right? 2016, I voted third party. I didn't vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. But then 2020 came along, right? And during the pandemic, we were all at home. We had to sit home and couldn't go anywhere. So what I did was I asked myself this question, right? I remember I asked myself, okay, why do I dislike Donald Trump, right? Why do I not like this man so much, right? I don't like the way he acts, but why? Why do I hate him so much, right? So I said to myself, I'm just going to listen to him, right? Every day, I'm just going to listen to him during these press conferences and just listen to what he has to say. And when I did that, I would listen to him. The first thing I've learned, he was funny, right? He's a funny dude, charismatic, and that's always a good thing, right? And I would listen to what he's saying. Now, in my mind, I was like, all right, he's not as bad as I thought he was. And not only that, I would listen to what he had to say, and then I would go on to CNN, MSNBC, and based on that press conference, I would hear them totally distort everything that he said. I was like, yo, Trump never said that. And I would hear this more and more and more. And then it started coming to a realization that this whole fake news, the media, you start to realize everything that when it comes to Trump, they lie about almost everything he says. And then the more I heard that, the more I listened to Trump, the more I liked him, the more I heard him speak from his own mouth and not from, clips from CNN, MSNBC. It got to a point where I said, you know what? I'm voting for this guy. Right? I think a lot of people that once you finally listen to what Trump has to say, you come to learn that he's not as bad as you thought he was, or he's not as bad as the mainstream media portray him to be. And you come to say, all right, he's not as bad, and you say, let me give this guy a chance. And ever since then, I've been a Trump supporter, and I think for a lot of people, it's the same way. So let's continue.
So you voted against Trump in 2016,
yes,
but then in 2020 you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.
What are some things that he's doing that you do like?
For me, I like the border. I just don't like the idea of someone coming here illegally and getting benefits that can serve my community. So that's the reason why I support him on that border policy.
When you think about the border, you think about people coming here who are getting more help than people who live here and who were born here.
Yeah. And I got that perspective not from news channels. I got it from social media. TikTok is like a holy grail. We even see it with the things that we learn about the United States government outside of the United States. People are showing Americans hey, look at what's going on. Do y'all know that your government is doing this? Have you seen this? Have you looked at it from this perspective?
You know, people, when they think about a Trump voter, they usually think about like a white dude with like a red hat on and a pickup truck. And y'all are not that at all. So,
And this is another thing too, right? Especially when his point about, you know, TikTok and everything. Obviously, when it comes to social media, I think that's one of the biggest game changers when it comes to how people, you know, consume their news, right? Because, you know, back in the days, obviously there were only so many networks where people would consume the information when it comes to politics. Now with social media, you got YouTube, you got the TikToks, you got all these different channels, and obviously people are watching the news less, the mainstream media less. People are able to, you know, pick and choose who they want to listen to in terms of consuming the news, right? And the great thing is that everyone can check each other. If somebody's on YouTube, if I'm saying something that, you know, maybe that you're not sure of, there could be another person that's going to check me and you know, fact check and say, all right, that's not true. And that's the great thing about social media and having all these different channels of news sources. Everyone can fact check each other. Okay. And mainstream media, when they had just their networks, no one could do that. You had to listen to what they had to say, and you would just, and that was it. No one could fact check them. You would take their source, their information, and say that's pretty much what it is. But with social media, they no longer control the means of communication, the means of information. And I think that for a lot of people, more people, obviously there are some negatives to that because there's a lot of propaganda and stuff like that, especially with TikTok, and you got to worry about Chinese influence. But I think the good thing, I think there's more pluses into that because there's more people that are able to fact check others who are out there as well. So there's different means where people can consume the information and learn more about what's going on in the world around them. So let's let them continue.
Donald Trump's team went in, they took down Harriet Tubman's picture for a quick minute. They're trying to like knock out the black museums. What does that have to do with the price of eggs, and how does that impact you?
In some ways, it's a slap in the face. In other ways, I don't care. I care more about how I'm going to take care of my children.
I don't think the average American cares about that. I know I am sick and tired of seeing black people sit there and complain about something but not taking action and steps to actually try to change things in an appropriate manner.
Under the Trump and Biden administration, they came to certain agreements with police departments to be less brutal toward the black community. Trump has now ended all that. How does that help the black community?
I have a lot of issues with police reform and just with how police officers are treated as a whole. My husband is currently going through the process to become a police officer. The amount of hatred that cops get, even the best ones, I think has become a huge problem because it has been, especially around election times, when it definitely comes out of like, oh no, the cops are bad, the cops hate you because you're black, they're immediately deemed as evil.
This man is talking about running for a third term. Now, what do you think about that?
The third term, for me, absolutely not. I think it's at the end of these 4 years, it's time to move on.
This is a prime example of him trolling people because people have said, they're like, oh, if he gets in the office, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to try to run for a third term. So he's like, okay, y'all think I'm going to do that? I'm going to mess with y'all and say this to take y'all out.
I thought you loved this man because he's so authentic and he's such a truth.
But see, that's what makes Trump authentic, right? His ability to troll is what makes him him. Like that's Trump, and that's why a lot of people gravitate toward him. He's authentic. He's not fake that like a lot of these other politicians out here. Okay, like he says what he says, and that's pretty much it. People have gotten used to it. It's like, yeah, that's Trump, and you know what? I like that. I respect that. He is who he is, and when it comes to, you know, speaking truth, and he's gonna say what he's going to say, right? And they're talking about the third term. Look at the man's gonna be over. He's gonna be over 80 years old. I think obviously he's trolling. He's gonna do. He's not gonna be able to do that. You know, we're gonna pass the baton to someone else. Hopefully, like a JD Vance, and JD Vance can continue, you know, doing the things that he needs to do. That, you know, that's gonna move this country forward in a positive way. But yeah, like Trump knows that. Like he can say a lot of things. He knows the media's just gonna run with this. So like it's just like it's easy, right? It's easy to just trigger the left, you know, left wing media, and he knows that.
To know the difference between somebody trolling somebody, and this is a prime example of him being a troll.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again? Yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
Nah, that is not going to happen. It ain't about it. It is not about a candidate. You know, it's not about a candidate. It's about the Democratic Party and their policies. I don't care who they put out there. It doesn't matter. They all align. They all go in lockstep when it comes to their policies. And their policies do not work. I do not. I don't even. They would have to do a total 180 and get more conservative views if I would ever go back to the Democratic Party. The stuff that I've learned about Democrats now, I'm never going. I don't plan on ever going back. All right. I don't care who they put up in front. No, it's just not going to happen. All right.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump? Yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next.
She said yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump? Yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
And
that's the thing, man. Like, you gotta understand, like, a lot of these Trump supporters, they don't regret what their vote because he's doing exactly what he said he was gonna do. Right? And we wish he could do more, but you know, we got a lot of these judges coming out here, these activist judges trying to stop what he's trying to do. And you know, we understand that. So we understand what he's fighting. We know we understand what he's fighting against. He's fighting against a machine that is trying to stop everything that he's trying to do. But you know what? It's good to see a president finally do what he said he's going to do. And I think a lot of people respect that. And they understand the resistance that he's going to get on the other side. But he keeps on pushing along, and he has, you know, what, three and a half more years to get this done. So we're looking forward to seeing what else. Well, obviously got like 1.5 years because, you know, the midterms, but hopefully that, you know, that can go the way we want it to go. But I think this is a good thing, right? Getting more black people to the other side, right, to balance it out, because, you know, the fact that, you know, black people vote 90% Democrat, it just hasn't worked out. Their policies don't work. Okay. And I think more black people, especially black men, right? Because when you look at the Democratic Party, they're a party of just feminine energy. There's no male masculine leadership on that side. And I think for a lot of men, we see that and it's just like, you know what? I don't really like that side. I don't really like what they have to say. It doesn't really cater to me. So you see a lot of, especially young men, black men, moving to the other side because they share more of the values. There's more masculine energy, more masculine leadership. Okay. And as opposed to the Democratic Party where they're just catering to the feminine. And I think a lot of people are, you know, a lot of men are just dissuaded. And so I think if more black people can move to the other side, I think overall that'll be a good thing, especially for the black community. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do when it comes to that. But I think if we get more of a shift to that side, I think overall that's a good thing. So those are my thoughts. Interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure you leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share. And if you haven't done so, then make sure to subscribe. So I said, take care, have a good one. Later.